It is 7 p.m. on December 7th, 2020. Time for the Wayne Westland Community Schools Board of Education regular meeting to begin. We will begin with Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, led by retiring board member, Mrs. Carol Medell.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Carol. Nice job, but then you've had a lot of practice. Mr. Neal, will you kindly call the roll?
Yes, I will. Ms. Hines.
Present.
And I am present as well. Mr. Buckaloo.
Here.
Mrs. Medell.
I'm here.
Mrs. Walker.
Present.
Dr. Weaver. Dr. Weaver.
Dr. Weaver.
I'm here.
Okay, and President Cox.
And I'm also here. Thank you, Mr. Neal.
Everyone's in attendance.
Next item on our agenda is 711.20, our recognitions and presentations. I know this is not the way you wanted to do it, Mr. Dignan, but the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, President Cox and members of the board. I just want to take this time and thank and again highlight the commitment of Ms. Medell and Ms. Walker, who again have given years of service to the Board of Education. We have some plaques and we wanted to kind of, I don't know if people can see that, it's kind of hard to see the glass and everything, but we wanted to present these awards to them for their commitment and years of service to the school community. We will drop these off tomorrow, Ms. Walker, Ms. Medell, so I hope you're home. So make sure we get them in your hand. Again, I just want to congratulate them and thank them again for their years of service.
Superintendent, the administrator has opened up the screen. If you could hold that up once more so we could take a look at it.
Sure. I don't know if I need to flip it around.
Yeah, flip it around. Okay, I'm looking at, now I'm not looking at you. Okay, thank you so much.
Yep.
Part two, sir.
Yes, we're just going to have a quick presentation. So I'm going to ask Justin to pull that up real quick. We gave a survey to our community weeks ago, and we just wanted to kind of go over the results and kind of talk through it a little bit. If you could flip to the next slide. We had about a little over 2,500 participate in our survey. The good thing this time is we had about 21% of it being our students. Again, we're going to include them in any of the surveys that we give out. As you can see, we had a pretty good turnout from all the different stakeholder groups. You can click the next slide, please. Real quick, we're asking the community what kind of mode of instruction that they wanted to go to. Again, we closed this survey about 2 weeks ago. 50% wanted to remain distance learning going into second semester. About 22% wanted a hybrid, and then 23 wanted some kind of in-person instruction 5 days a week. You'll flip to the next slide. Again, out of the two options that we presented in the hybrid, 65% of all respondents were kind of stuck on option one. And I'd like to show that to you now by clicking the slide. Real quick, the hybrid option is kind of mirrors the virtual option that we've been following since the start of school in the fall, where we would have like cohort A come in person Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday, everyone would be virtual. And then Thursday and Friday, cohort B would come in person. Cohort A would be independent learning from home. So again, this is a model that we've seen many times since the start of the school year. And again, it's the one that we would have if we went into a hybrid kind of model January 19th. If we can click to the next slide. Again, we'll have a special board meeting on January 11th. And again, I thank the board for that, to kind of see the latest data and science regarding COVID-19. It is our kind of our goal to return to in-person instruction with our students at the first of the year. But as we know, a lot of times COVID-19 is kind of going to dictate what we do. So again, I really am appreciative of the board to have that meeting January 11th, just to see where we're at. We will also have a parent handbook that'll be launched at the first of the year for all our parents with all of our protocols. We will also have videos on our protocols for the community that'll be shared with families, everything on how you get into a bus, on how you enter a building. Again, on January 11th, we'll have alternative timelines based on the latest data and science that it will be presented in the event they are needed. Again, we're trying to move forward to in-person learning January 19th, but again, probably the coming weeks will be the telling tale for us. So again, that's the end of my presentation. Mr. Weaver, I want to thank everybody for giving me that opportunity.
Thank you, sir. 712.20 on the agenda this evening is citizens' comments. This is the portion of the meeting reserved for citizens who wish to address the board on items that appear on the agenda. Are there any citizens that wish to address the board on agenda items at this time?
So far, we have no hands, Mr. Cox.
Okay, we will move on then to 713.20, which is the extended continuity of learning plan and the attendance report. Mr. Dignan?
Yes, thank you, President Cox. Basically, in your board packet is the plan that we've been following. Every month or 30 days, we have to vote on it. So again, we're just voting on the attendance that's in there, as well as the plan that we've been following and plan to follow up through the end of first semester. So,
Is there a motion to accept the e-call plan?
Motion
moved.
to accept.
Moved by Dr. Weaver, support by
Support.
Mrs. Madell, I believe. Roll call vote, please, Mr. Neal. Or is there discussion on this? I didn't think so. Roll call vote, please, Mr. Neal.
Myself, yes. Mr. Buckaloo,
Yes.
Mrs. Madell,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Ms. Hines,
Yes.
President Cox,
Yes,
7 yea.
thank you. The consent agenda 714.20, is there a motion?
So move.
Moved by Mrs. Walker, support?
Support.
Support by Ms. Hines. Roll, is there
No.
discussion on the,
No.
was that Mrs. Madell? I'm sorry, Mrs. Madell. We'll see if we can get Melody on the vote. Roll, is there any discussion? Roll call vote, please, Mr. Neal.
Mr. Buckaloo,
Yes.
Mrs. Madell,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Ms. Hines,
Yes.
myself, yes,
Knew we
and
did,
President
yeah.
Cox,
Thank you, Mr. Neal.
7 yea.
The next item on our agenda, ladies and gentlemen, is 715.20 and deals with the reinstatement of a student. Is there a motion on this resolution, 715.20?
Yes, Mr. Cox, I
Dr. Weaver?
present the resolution or present the motion that we should not reinstate this student.
Motion by Weaver to deny reinstatement. Is there support for that motion?
Support. Support.
Support by Mr. Buckaloo. Is there discussion? Roll call vote, please, Mr. Neal.
Mrs. Madell,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Ms. Hines,
Yes.
myself, yes, Mr. Buckaloo,
Yes.
President Cox,
I also vote yes.
7 yea.
The next item, 716.20, is the Board of Education Committee report on the Finance Committee meeting.
Mr. President, are we reading the
Yes.
resolution?
yes.
Do we need to? Yes, okay, if we need to read it. Mr. Neal, will you read it, please?
Yes. Resolution, whereas the Board of Education for Wayne Westland Community Schools convened on November 11th and 12th, 2020, to consider the petition for reinstatement filed on behalf of expelled student A-3, and to consider the report and recommendation of the reinstatement committee previously appointed by the Board of Education. Whereas the Board of Education is persuaded, for the reasons set forth in the reinstatement committee's report and recommendation, that student A-3 should not be reinstated to the Wayne Westland Community Schools. Therefore, it is resolved that the reinstatement committee's report and recommendation is hereby adopted by the Board of Education, and that for the reasons stated therein, the petition for school reinstatement filed on behalf of student A-3 is hereby denied. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution will be provided to the student and the parent. End of
Thank you, Mr.
reading.
Neal. 71620, Board of Education Committee reports. Mr. Buckaloo, Treasurer Buckaloo, Finance Committee meeting.
Yes, thank you, President Cox. The meeting was called to order at 10:08 a.m. by Mrs. Walker. Mr. Spizak and Mr. Vanderzee reported on plans to update our MDF room equipment and installation. The system is old and replacement parts are only available on the secondary market. Bids have been received and a proposal will come to the board tonight. CARES Act funds can be used for this item. Mr. Spizak reported on a plan to require new remote devices, including purchase and installation for teachers and support staff. If approved by the board tonight, CARES Act funds will be used for this item. Mr. Spizak informed the Finance Committee of the need to do asbestos removal from the first floor at John Glenn High School. This is necessary because of renovation work. The proposal will come to the board tonight and if approved, will be paid for with bond funds. Mr. Wenzel updated the Finance Committee on an earlier proposal to purchase a license which would provide a filter for district-owned devices and allow teachers and staff to monitor student use of those devices. Mr. Wenzel will be asking the board for the purchase of a three-year license through Lightspeed Classroom Relay. If approved, the purchase will be made through the REMC consortium and bids will not be required for that reason. The cost will be covered by the general fund. Mr. Wenzel explained to the committee administration's plan to purchase licensing for a 10-form package from Informed K-12 online form systems. This package will streamline the handling of a number of forms by converting them to a digital format. This purchase does not require board approval. The cost will be charged to the CARES Act. Mr. Toko and Ms. Johnson presented a proposal for a budget to promote communications and marketing for our school district. The intent is to create a focused campaign designed to increase student enrollment. And this proposal will come to us tonight and if approved, will be funded from the general fund. Assistant Superintendent Cleaves presented an investment report setting investment amounts and interest rates through the month of November. Superintendent Dignan thanked everyone and singled out Ms. Cleaves for overseeing the COVID funds. He also praised the work being done to get technology and Wi-Fi to our students. He also indicated his support for the Lightspeed and Informed K-12 projects. Ms. Walker and Mr. Buckaloo thanked the efforts of everyone and seconded the importance of the proposed communication and marketing campaign for our district. Our meeting was adjourned at 10:42 a.m. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Buckaloo. And now 71720 is review and approval of the business, service, and finance items. There are 5 items. Ms. Cleaves?
Thanks, President Cox. Good evening. I am requesting board approval to award the contract for the renovations to the district server, SAN, and data center to Presidio of Wixom, Michigan. This comes as a recommendation from Communications by Design. A public bid opening was held on November 5th, 2020. In your board package, you will see the due diligence that was done regarding this bid. If approved, the amount of $499,384 will be charged to the CARES Act funding sources.
Thank you, Ms. Cleaves. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Neal,
Support.
support by Buckaloo. Is there discussion? Roll call vote, please, Mr. Neal.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Ms. Hines,
Yes.
myself, yes. Mr. Buckaloo,
Yes, excuse me, yes.
Mrs. Madell,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
and President Cox.
And I vote yes.
7 yea.
Thank you. Ms. Cleaves, part two?
Okay, the next item is recommendation to purchase staff technology workstations. I am requesting board approval to award the contract for the specified staff workstation upgrades to Presidio of Novi, Michigan. This comes as a recommendation from Communications by Design. A public bid opening was held on December 3rd, 2020. Also attached will be the due diligence that was done also on this bid. If approved, the amount not to exceed $741,392 will be charged to the CARES Act funding sources.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Moved by Dr. Weaver, support?
Support.
Support by Ms. Hines. Is there discussion? Roll call vote, please, Mr. Neal.
Ms. Hines. Ms. Hines,
Yes.
myself, yes. Mr. Buckaloo,
Yes,
Mrs. Madell,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
President Cox.
And I vote yes. Next item is item 3, Ms. Cleaves, regarding asbestos abatement.
Yes, I am requesting board approval to award the contract for asbestos abatement at John Glenn High School to Quality Environmental Services, Inc. as recommended by Arch Environmental Group. Sealed bids were opened at a public bid opening on November 17, 2020. The total award recommendation amount for this project is $197,750. This includes $98,000 for the base bid and $99,750 for the alternate. This project will be charged to the bond fund.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So move.
Moved by Mrs. Walker, support?
Support.
Support by Ms. Hines. Thank you, Melanie. Is there discussion? Roll call vote, please, Mr. Neal.
Myself, yes. Mr. Buckaloo,
yes,
and Mrs. Madell,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Ms. Hines,
Yes.
President Cox.
I vote yes.
7 yea.
Thank you. Ms. Cleaves, section 4 regarding the classroom relay licensing.
I am requesting board approval to purchase 3 years of licensing from Lightspeed Relay Classroom. This comes as a recommendation by Seth Wenzel, our Executive Director of Technology. Lightspeed Relay licenses will be applied to district-owned devices and will provide teachers and staff enhanced access to student Chromebook activities while devices are both on and off campus. These prices are achieved through the REMC consortium bid and if approved will not exceed the cost of $66,500. This cost will be charged to the CARES Act funding sources.
Thank you, Ms. Cleaves. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Weaver, support?
support,
Support by Mrs. Walker. Is there discussion? Roll call vote, please, Mr. Neal.
Mr. Buckaloo,
yes,
Mrs. Madell,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Ms. Hines,
Yes.
myself, yes. President Cox.
And I vote yes.
7
Thank you.
yea.
The next item and final item under 71720 is the communications and marketing budget proposal. Ms. Cleaves?
Yes, I am requesting board approval to increase the communications marketing budget. This comes as a recommendation by our Director of Communications, Jenny Johnson. The increase in the marketing budget will allow the communications department to do a more strategic, targeted marketing campaign to earn back the 3,000 students who currently live in our district and are attending other schools. This could be schools of choice and the growth of charter schools in our area that have created the need to increase the district's marketing budget. The current budget is set at $70,000. The increase to the marketing budget will be $116,000 and will allow a total budget of $186,000. This increase will be charged to the general fund.
Thank you, Ms. Cleaves. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support. Support by, who moved my phone
I did.
off? I'm sorry.
Donna,
I
I did.
And thank you, Ms. Walker, and support by Ms. Hines. Is there
Yes.
discussion on this issue?
One
Ms.
quick
Hines?
discussion.
Yes, Ms. Hines.
Yes, I'm really glad that we are doing this marketing because I've noticed they have bus stops for students to go to River Rouge in Wayne Westland District. So there's like bus stops in Wayne Westland to take students over to River Rouge. So we definitely need to kind of get on top of that because we are losing a lot of students. So thank you for this passing this.
Thank you, Ms. Hines. Is there further discussion?
Yes.
Dr. Weaver?
President Cox, I would like us to continue to monitor. I'm in favor of this, but I would like us to continue to monitor how many kids this brings back into the district for future monetary distribution.
I understand. I don't exactly know what the construct would be of that, but I will tell you that this is one of the things that Superintendent Dignan spoke about. And I believe his very first interview with the board. And as Ms. Hines has said, this is something that the district has been lagging behind on for a very long time. And I know there are reasons, financial reasons why we don't do it, but there are so many Wayne Westland children that aren't coming into Wayne Westland schools. And in large part, I think because the surrounding districts do have an advertising and a marketing campaign, and they do reach out to kids. I see evidence of it all the time. So I'm very happy about this. Frankly, I think it is conservative, and I'm anxious to see how it works and what we can do to improve that. So if there's no other discussion, Mr. Neal, roll call vote.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Ms. Hines,
Yes.
myself, yes, Mr. Buckaloo,
Yes.
Mrs. Madell,
Yes,
President Cox.
And I vote yes, and my appreciation to the administration on this, in light of everything else going on, moving forward here, I think is a real positive thing. The next item on our agenda is 718.20, our board officer interests. Secretary Neal.
Yes, let me grab my little sheet here. So I'll just go by order of position. President Cox has expressed a desire to remain as president. Vice President Weaver would like to be vice president. Trustee Hines suggested that she would also like to be vice president. Myself, I would prefer to stay as secretary if I could. Treasurer Buckaloo, who served us as trustee very well, as finance person and treasurer very well, I would like to be a trustee. And the trustee elects, Kimberly May and John Albrecht, I talked to both of them, and they both had a similar outlook, and that is that they're willing to do anything on behalf of the board, on behalf of the schools, for the benefit of everybody. They can either be a position or not, but they're willing to serve in any position that we'd like to put them in. They both have an interest in finance as well, and maybe that'll work out well because our treasurer would like to be trustee.
Thank you, Mr. Neal. And also thanks to the newly elected board members' willingness to do whatever the team asks of them. So that very much appreciated. 719.20. This is a historic milestone. This will be the last Head Start monthly report by our board member, Carol Madell. Carol?
actually, excuse me, you have in your possession, hopefully the monthly financial report that will need to be approved today. They are running at 93% capacity, so there are some openings. Their attendance records are like 80 some percent attendance for Head Start, which is pretty good considering you've got technology issues and COVID and everything else. So they're humming along really well. They've got themselves a slate of officers for their parent committee and for their policy committee. And again, whoever decides to take this, I will be more than happy to help mentor them along. But we do need to vote on accepting the financial statement.
Move to accept Mrs. Medell's Head Start report.
Motion by Walker, support.
I'll support it.
Support by Mr. Buckaloo. Is there discussion? Mr. Neal, roll call vote, please.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Ms. Hines,
Yes.
myself, yes. Mr. Buckaloo,
Yes.
Mrs. Medell,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
President Cox,
And I vote yes too.
7
Nothing, that's a great report after how many years' experience? They just nailed it. Thank you for that. Next item on our agenda this evening, 720.20, are the superintendent's reports and comments. Superintendent Dignan?
Yeah, thanks, President Cox. Again, I just want to reiterate and thank Mrs. Medell and Ms. Walker again for their service and their commitment to everybody within our school district. I think sometimes we lose sight of the sacrifices and stuff people make. So I want to make sure that I say thank you again, because their service has been so profound for so many years. So thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda is 721.20, are citizens' comments. This is the portion of the meeting where citizens are invited to speak, to address the board on any issue at all. Is there any citizens that wish to address the board at this time?
Mr. Cox, you have no hands up.
Thank you, Justin. Appreciate that.
No problem.
Review and recommendations, members of the Board of Education. We will begin with Dr. Weaver.
Yes, thank you. I apologize for not being able to be at the last board meeting. But I wanted to say then, and I will say now, a very big thank you to Mr. Dignan for going the extra mile to protect our children. Other superintendents opened up their schools and were shut back down. But our superintendent had the foresight to not open up like others did to see us through this COVID-19 pandemic. And I just wanted to say a quick word of thanks for that. Also, welcome to the new board members, and a special goodbye to those who are leaving us. And that concludes my comments for tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Weaver. Ms. Hines?
Yes, I would also like to thank Ms. Medell for her service, and I also like to thank her for being my mentor, because she's really taught me a lot being a board member. And if I needed to know anything, Carol always has the answers, because as she says, she knows where the bodies are buried. I also like to thank Shauna, or Ms. Walker as well. She has been very inspirational. She has been an amazing leader, and I really admire her. And I'd like to thank her for her help. It's helping me grow and mature as a board member as well. I'm also excited to say that this weekend I was able to go to a couple of MSAB classes. One was with conflict management. Another one was advanced community relations. And my favorite was high school and beyond. I'm honored to be on a committee with a career college readiness. That was part of my platform with the portrait of a graduate, to make sure that kids are college ready, life ready, and college ready, life ready. And oh my God, I have a brain freeze. Life ready, college ready, and
Career
career ready. That's what it is. Sorry, I just had a total brain freeze. But I'm really excited about the second term. I'm going to be really big on working on getting more community partners, working with Maria. And I'm really excited working with Jen to help with the marketing in any way I can to get more students to the district, because I am concerned about with COVID and the online environment losing more children. So we definitely have to make sure we get those kids back. So thank you guys so much for your service. I really appreciate everything you guys have done, and I'm really excited about the 21st century because we're going to be moving forward.
Thank you, Ms. Hines. Mr. Neal?
Yes, I'd like to thank both our outgoing members of the board, Mrs. Walker and Ms. Medell, for their good work. I know Ms. Medell was the very first person to offer to show me around when I got on the board, because I don't know about knowing where all the bodies are, like Melody said, but she does know where everything else is. And she does have a great knowledge of our school system and served us very well. Thank you both. Also like to welcome our new members, our elect members, Kimberly May and John Albrecht. I look forward to working with them as well. I'd like to also remind everyone that this is the 79th anniversary of Pearl Harbor today, where we lost some 2,335 service members and 68 civilians when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. The breakout that we had, I would like to talk a little bit about that. The breakout that we had of the people that applied to the survey that we did for returning to school, what they would like to see, and so on. I know that we had students, staff, and parents that participated. I would like to see a breakout even further showing how the students voted independent from the staff and parents, and how the staff voted independent from the student and parents, and how the parents voted independent of the others. I'd like to see if there's any difference in opinion in the groups rather than blending all of them together to base our decisions on. With that, I think I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Neal. Mr. Buckaloo?
Yes, thank you, sir. Again, welcome to Ms. May and to Mr. Albrecht. Our board is losing nearly a quarter century of experience with tonight's meeting. And I'm losing two very good friends at the same time from this board. Shauna Walker was a member of this Board of Education when I was still a teacher in the district. She's seldom the first person to speak, but I learned early on to listen carefully when she did speak. Ms. Walker always reminded us that we are a family here at Wayne Westland, and I hope we continue to be a family. Carol Medell is a product of Wayne Westland. She attended our school since she's a graduate of John Glenn. As a new board member, Carol became my mentor. I've lost count of the many workshops and conferences that we've traveled to over the last 10 years. Our district is clearly better for the efforts of both Shauna and Carol, and I'm going to miss them deeply. This is the last meeting for the year of 2020. It's certainly been a difficult year, and I'm not at all unhappy to see it go. Even so, thanks to the leadership of Superintendent Dignan and to his team, I think we've continued to move forward in spite of all of the difficulties we've faced. The work of improving our facilities with bond money is still on track. There have been changes at William D. Ford Vocational Center, also at Wayne Memorial and John Glenn High Schools. These changes are very exciting. And changes are coming to all of our other buildings too. With respect to COVID, the decisions that we've made regarding face-to-face learning and distance learning have not always been popular with everyone. At the same time, we've tried to make all of those decisions with the best information available to us. And going forward, I'm certain that that is going to continue to be the case, with an eye towards science, with an eye towards the information coming to us from the county health department, and with an eye for our students and our staff and their respective health. We're going to be very diligent in decisions that we make regarding whether we stay distance learning or return face-to-face. And finally, I hope for our students and their families and also for our staff that they have the best possible of holidays. And with that, sir, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Buckaloo. Mrs. Walker.
So I had to write this down, but knowing it came from my heart, because this is actually going to be harder than I thought it was going to be. So it has been an honor and a pleasure to have served the families of Wayne Westland, who I've always considered my family. I'm trying to get through this without crying. My decision to leave the board was a bittersweet one. For the past 12 years, I have tried my best to serve with dignity, integrity, and transparency. And I hope during my tenure, I was able to make a difference in a young person's life. Sometimes you have to know when to say when, and this is my when. It is my hope that my service to you was not in vain, and that the new members will serve with the same pride, if not more, that I carried for this district. If I could give any advice, it would be that you serve with the understanding that you are making a decision for the whole and not just for one person or something that is beneficial to self. This district has been good to me and my family. I've had 3 successful children to graduate from this district, and it is my prayer that Wayne Westland continues to turn out amazing and successful young men and women for years to come. I will always be grateful for the opportunity. I wish Mrs. Medell well as she discovers new and exciting things. I wish my fellow board members and the new members well as they go forth making difficult decisions during these difficult times. I know in my heart, I know in my heart, it may be rough times ahead, but Wayne Westland will be just fine. I trust Mr. Dignan and his staff, as well as the new board, to do what's right for our families. I wish you all Godspeed, and I will forever be Cousin Shauna to each and every one of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Walker. Mrs. Medell.
Oh, hard act to follow. Well said, Shauna. I've been part of this district now for over 60 years. Student, educator, substitute teacher, parent, now school board. It's kind of bittersweet, but it's time to go. I swore that I would never be that person who would come into a board meeting on a walker. I came close. I was on a cane for a long time, but a walker I kind of pushed aside because I didn't want to be that person who would be looked at as being irrelevant. I always made sure that I attended as much as I could and went as far as I could, that my car would carry me. In fact, since joining the board, I had to get a new car. I had to get new glasses because I was reading so much more than I'd ever read before. And when I went back and I looked, September of the first year I was on school board, I put over 3,000 miles on my car just in district travel. Last month, I put on 12 miles. How the times have changed. COVID has changed everything. This is not how Mrs. Walker and I wanted to leave. We wanted to be able to go to Christmas choir recitals, band concerts, fall plays, seeing the little kids singing the songs that they had learned for Halloween, fall time, and at Christmas also. This isn't what we had envisioned for ourselves all those years ago, but here we are. Reality is in our face, but it is time for us to say goodbye and turn it over to the next people who will do just as well as we did. Although I'd like to think that we will both be missed and thought of often, but it's not like we're dying. We're still here and we're still a phone call away if anybody needs us. We will be there and we will respond cheerfully with anything that we can do to help make this school district even better than it is right now. But as I once told the WWEA president, a lady always knows when it's time to leave, and it's time for me to leave now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Waddell. We talk about a tough act to follow. What I want to say is that our school district, our entire school district, is at the precipice of monumentally positive change. Many moving parts had to come together for us to be in this position, not the least of which is attracting and placing a superintendent who has the right vision for where we can and where we should be. When I first got elected to the board over 20 years ago, our school district had severe financial troubles. And when I got elected to the board just a few years ago, our school district had severe financial troubles. Mrs. Walker and Mrs. Medell have been fitful stewards of our financial situation for all the years that they served on this board. I know there were many things they probably wanted to spend money on or wanted to do and they couldn't do, but they kept our finances, they kept the state out of our finances, number one, and they kept our finances so that the community could have faith that they were being properly managed so that we could have the opportunity that we now have. We're in very good shape. So these two people, with all of their many years of service to our school district, have left things in very good shape. And with respect to Mrs. Medell, I know that she's leaving the board, but she's not leaving the school district. She continues her work on behalf of the community and the teachers, and we appreciate that. And I remember what President Reagan said many years ago about the United States Marine Corps. He said the Marines never have to wonder whether they've made a difference. Well, Mrs. Medell and Mrs. Walker, I hope that you never wonder whether you made a difference, because you certainly did. We're very grateful for your service. We're certainly looking forward to the contribution by Ms. Kimberly May and Mr. John Albrecht. And I hope that both of them and all future board members regard their service to the board as seriously as you did and continue to educate themselves just as you did, so that they're better board members and we have a better school district for it. I wish we could all go out and celebrate, but we can't. I'll just say thank you. And with respect to what Ms. Hines said about Ms. Medell, I want everybody to know about 25 minutes before this meeting started, I called Mrs. Medell and asked her a question about this meeting. So Melanie, you're not the only one. Thank you so very much. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Medell. Mrs. Walker, is there support?
Absolutely.
Support by Mrs. Walker. Roll call vote, please, Mr. Neal.
Ms. Hines,
Yes.
myself, yes. Mr. Buckaloo,
Yes.
Mrs. Medell,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
and President Cox.